feel free to swing on by. We love to have visitors. In fact, Craig's in the studio right now. Say good morning.
Hi, Craig.
Good morning, everybody.
And we often have we have a few regulars that swing by in
Yep.
here. But if you'd like to see what goes on behind the scenes, feel free to swing on in. Or if you'd ever like to be part of the show, that might be fun sometime. We reserve the right to mute your mic, though. Okay. Mr. Matthew.
Yes, Mr. Adan.
We have a question brought to us involving Cornerstones.
Yes.
All right. And the particular question is involving verse... Did you find it?
Yes. The question is from Ephesians chapter 3. No, chapter 2. Just kidding. Chapter 2, verse 20. This verse reads, built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Christ Jesus himself being the chief cornerstone. And it's talking about the building of the new temple.
Yes. Okay, so keep going.
And so the question was, what is the chief cornerstone? What is a chief cornerstone? What is the chief cornerstone that he's referring to? Stuff like that. What's with the cornerstone?
All right. So let's start. What is a cornerstone?
A cornerstone this might be kind of hard to describe on the radio, but when they were building pretty much any building as far as I know, but specifically the temple, the cornerstone was a stone that they spent extra time being very careful that it was smooth, flat, and all the sides were parallel, or rather perpendicular, and that it was absolutely correct. And they put that in the corner of the foundation, so that way the adjacent walls, when they were erected, would be straight, correct, and perpendicular to each other, and level as well. So it's an important piece of the building of a building.
Yeah, so if the first stone was a little off, the next stone, in order to be leveled up to it, would be a little off, and the next stone would be a little off, and then eventually you'd have this leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yes.
Okay. Which, incidentally, isn't how Pisa was.
I was just about to ask. Is that what happens?
No, I can just hear the calls coming in right now. That's not how Pisa... Actually, Pisa leans because of a foundational thing, like part of the ground underneath it sunk.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, my friend Eric and I were just there this past summer, and we were gonna go up it, but there's a really long line.
Oh, gotcha.
So no, that is a case in which the tower was built well, and the foundation gave out. And this is part of also what he's saying. He's saying, you need a strong foundation, you need a strong start, you need a strong beginning, so that everything else lines up correctly. And that verse goes on to say that Jesus is that
cornerstone.
The cornerstone.
Yes.
And all right. So what does he mean then? In Psalm 118, verse 22, same question.
Mm-hmm.
The stone the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. And also in Acts chapter 4, verse 11, we have... Wait for it.
This Jesus is the stone that was rejected by you, the builders, which has become the chief cornerstone.
Was that Psalm or was that Acts?
That one's Acts.
Oh, I'm looking up Acts. All right, we'll go to Psalm.
Got it.
All right. Psalm 118:22.
The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone.
Right. Pretty much the same thing. In fact, I think Acts in Acts they're quoting Psalms.
Yes.
All right. So, what does it mean to be a chief cornerstone?
The chief to be a cornerstone, there's obviously one in each corner.
Right.
But the chief cornerstone is the original one in the first corner before anything else is laid. That's how the building got its initial start. Right?
I think I've heard both. I've heard that, and I've also heard that it's the... we have listeners texting in. If you guys are ever wondering what that dinging sound is. I think I've heard it both ways. Some people have said that, and some people have said it's like the crowning one for the
top,
for the very top.
Yes.
Either way, it's the one that holds the whole puzzle together.
Right.
All right. So when in Psalms we're told the stone the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. What is that speaking about? Even back in Psalms, long before Christ came along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's going on there?
Well, I know the story, but I know that you're going to explain it better, so go ahead.
All right, I'll take a shot at it. All right. So, when they were building the temple, in fact, if you can go to Israel today and you can see the quarry where they've quarried the rock out for the temple. And of course, you can see what's left of the Temple Mount. And the quarry and the temple are quite some distance away from each other.
Okay.
And when you look at the temple and you look at these rocks, I mean, these aren't things you're carrying around in your pocket. I mean, these are like stones, man. Stones. I mean, these things are huge. And so they had one set of plans at the quarry and one set of plans at the temple.
Okay.
And they would quarry out the rock to the exact dimensions they needed.
Sure.
They would transport the stone to the temple. The people at the temple would then take their plans, look at the stone, put it where it's supposed to go.
Sure.
And they had to cut them precisely to go where they were supposed to go. Well, there was this one stone, and you can read this, in other literature besides the Bible.
Historical texts.
And thank you for all your texts coming in. I'm going to set my phone here while we answer the question. Okay. So, so historical texts, and we read that there was a stone that came along, and the builders looked at it and went, well, this doesn't go with our plans. This doesn't go with the blueprint.
Okay.
And so the temple's built on this great big mount.
Right.
That's why we call it the Temple Mount.
Sure.
And they just basically rolled it down the hill.
Why didn't they send like a runner out to the quarry going, hey, what was with that one random stone that didn't make any sense?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll look into it.
Before we throw a massive boulder down a hill.
Well, I think the story goes that they did. I think that there was some confusion. They didn't. And so they rolled it down.
Okay.
Well, years later,
basically just disposed of it.
Right. John tells us it took 40-something years to build a temple.
Yes, I believe so.
Jesus
46.
says, "Destroy this body, and I'll raise it up again in 3 days." And they said, "Are you kidding? It took 46 years to build the temple."
Right.
Okay. So it takes 46 years to build it. So sometime later, they start looking for this chief cornerstone. They start looking for the stone. They're like, "Hey, are you going to send us this rock we need?"
The one for the very top.
And the guy said, "Well, we already sent it. We sent it a long time ago." So what? What do you mean you already sent it? So they started looking for it, and by this time, years later, shrubbery stuff has grown over the rock, and they have to go down there and dig it out and drag it up. And so that's what Psalm is referring to when he says that the stone the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Okay, so that's a cute story. What does that have to do with anything? Well, John chapter 5, verse 39.
Yep, 39 and 40.
Says that you search the scriptures, for in them you think you have life, but it's they who testify of me.
Yes.
Alright, so likewise, Jesus went to his brothers in Israel. And they didn't recognize him as the foundation, as the cornerstone, as the plumb line that he was. And so they rejected him.
Right.
And there's coming a time, after the days of the Gentiles are fulfilled, we read in various prophetic books, Thessalonians, I believe, Revelation, Daniel, a few others, that when the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled, there are 70 weeks appointed to the nation of Israel. 69 have passed. So there's one more 7, and a week just means like 7. Like we use a dozen,
Right.
so they use a week. It means 7. So there's 7 more years that are appointed to the nation of Israel when the church is removed, and once again, God turns His plan back towards the nation of Israel. And in that time, Israel is going to recognize Him not as the stone that they rejected, but as the chief cornerstone that He is. So that's a lot about cornerstones and stones and rocks. And do you have a song for us?
I do.
All right. You hear the music playing. That means you can call in at 928-777-3754.